that didn't hurt their friendship whatsoever. In fact, Sergeant Mendez says when he found out that he was going to be in the same squad, he said, "I was excited when I was first told that I would be in Monty's squad, to be able to not only work with an NCO of his caliber, but also a friend. Not too often in my military career have I been afforded such an opportunity. In the 5 years that I have known Monty, we had gone fishing, camping, and had countless barbecues together. We had talked for hours about guns, fishing holes, and poker. There was never a more down-to-earth guy than Thaddeus. I mean the guys from Alabama and sported dreadlocks before enlisting in the Army." So, a character as well as a good soldier and good friend and a good leader, obviously. Another of his friends and fellow E6s, staff sergeants, said, every time, as I read part of this last night, but I'll read a little bit more tonight. Every time I saw Monty, it brought a smile to my face, because that's what he brought into everyone, laughter and a brighter outlook on life. Before we deployed, I stayed at his house. I slept on his floor and hung out during the day to drink a couple of beers with him and while listening to reggae music and watching movies on Hulu.com. Movies that only a guy like Monty could convince me to watch. During our time in Afghanistan, Monty was a fearless leader and a motivator to not only me, but to everyone in the platoon. Just skip down a little bit. I will also not forget the good times I shared with him. From the platoon barbecues at his house, to the reggae music he loved so much, to the time he showed me his old dreadlocks in a bag. To the nights at Firebase Vegas we spent at the gym, working out and listening to our theme song, Cookie Jar. And to the countless times he was there to lend a hand in time of need. On January 20th, 2010, someone lost a son, a father, a brother, a fiancé, a comrade willing to shed blood on the battlefield for his buddy. And to me, I lost a best friend. Monty, we all miss you and love you. We will never forget the smiles and laughs you brought to us in the short time we knew you on this earth. Goodbye, friend. We will see you again one day. Monty was obviously loved not only by his soldiers, but by his family and friends here. As I read last night, there was another fellow soldier talk about how glad he was to be a father, and he leaves behind little Thaddeus. My message to the family primarily is that we can never thank you enough for what really is ultimately your sacrifice. I know, Deborah, in talking to you, that talked about that Monty, when he enlisted in the Army, he had done some things. He had gone around and worked in Montana, and then he called you, and he already had his mind made up. He wanted to go in the Army, and but he wanted to see what you thought about it, and he told you, I felt like this is something that I had to do, and he loved it. We know that, but he was certainly also, with all those deployments, it's hard on anyone. Certainly hard on anyone, and he was doing the bidding of the nation, bearing the sacrifice for all of us, and really now his sacrifice has become your sacrifice. All of you have lost out on Monty, a great American, as we have lost out on Monty, a great American. And you know, I think of I recall a time in Iraq. When I was in Iraq, where things were just going well, it seemed like it was always too cold or too hot. The food was always bad. You're strained to the limit, and it was Christmas Eve, and I was feeling bad about not being near my family. And I went into a Christmas Eve service, and someone handed me a little card. As I opened it, didn't say who it was or for anything, and then inside it was obviously probably this child, and one of these kids' age, had scribbled in crayon, and all they said was, "You were doing a good job." And I felt like God himself gave me that message to pick me up when I needed it. What I know is Staff Sergeant Thaddeus Montgomery was doing a great job. His soldiers attest to that, and we will forever miss him. I do have a couple of posthumous awards. As you said, he made you watch the Band of Brothers because he wanted you to see the band of camaraderie that he had and what motivated him, the Band of Brothers. And so it wasn't little pieces of ribbon or certificates that motivated your son, your friend, your father, and I should note, Sergeant Martell.
Right, sir.
Your battle buddy, Sergeant Martell. I know what motivated him was not ribbon, and I'm almost ashamed to give anything here today. I know what motivated him was his soldiers and serving those who were around him. And so I do give a posthumous Army Commendation Medal and NATO Medal to you. Certificates. But it'll never capture the spirit of what he sacrificed for all of us. And I'd just like to close with the, again, read the words that his company commander in Afghanistan said about him, because I think it sums it up pretty well. Monty was a simple guy. He didn't speak to hear his own voice. He didn't exaggerate experience to build his esteem. He didn't act in order to be noticed. He spoke when needed, told the truth, and actioned for others. I guess it doesn't sound simple when it's put like that. Most men have spent their entire lives fighting vanity and vice in order to achieve that simplicity. And I just add, we all, I think if we're virtuous, that's the type of life we would aspire to. But for Monty, it was just that. It was simply part of who he was. Monty was an exceptional soldier and leader in a distinguished unit. His leadership style was not imposing or loud. He simply said what needed to be done, and it happened. His squad respected him for that, loved him for that, and would not fail because of that. My thoughts and prayers go out to his soldiers, his friends, and his family.
We really became good friends in about March of '06. We took EMT school together, and we hit it off pretty well. From that point on, I asked him if he wanted to be in my sniper section. He said yes. And basically, from March of '06, we became awesome friends. Like I was saying, though, from that point on, we formed an awesome bond. And throughout the years, we shared laughs, tears, lost friends, and helped each other out in frightening situations. We shared a few tours in Iraq, in the last 8 months in Afghanistan. Thaddeus was one of my squad leaders, and in the Army's eyes, I was supposed to mentor him, but it was the other way around. Whenever I or the rest of the guys in the platoon had a question about life or work, Thaddeus was the guy to go to. Thaddeus was the guy to ask. He was knowledgeable, common sense, level-headed, awesome man. He loved his family, son, music, the outdoors, fishing, dogs, and conversation, with or without speaking. Thaddeus was an exceptional soldier. He has engaged the enemy, or been engaged by the enemy more times than I would care to count. And every single time I was thankful he was there, and the soldiers were thankful too, for how honorably and courageous he was in a firefight. Thaddeus Montgomery was the type of human and soldier that every soldier or leader was honored to fight beside or get pinned down next to on the battlefield. Thaddeus, I love you as a brother and miss you. Thank you.